What if Yoda sensed Anakin Skywalker's attack on the Tusken Raiders? The twin suns of Tatooine had set, casting long shadows across the desert. In the deep silence of the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, Master Yoda sat in meditation, his mind reaching out through the Force, when suddenly a wave of darkness and anguish had struck him, a whirlwind of rage and sorrow. Yoda's eyes opened slowly. He had sensed the disturbance in the Force, one that emanated from Anakin Skywalker. He could sense that the young Jedi had massacred a tribe of Tusken Raiders in a fit of uncontrollable anger. Yoda sat in deep contemplation, his heart heavy with the knowledge of Anakin's actions. He had always sensed the potential for great darkness within the boy, but yet he had hoped that with guidance, Anakin would overcome it. The decision weighed heavily on him. Should he intervene directly, or let Anakin face the consequences of his actions alone? Yoda decided to observe, hoping that the gravity of his deeds would bring out self-realization and repentance in Anakin. In the midst of the night, Anakin found himself surrounded by the bodies of the slain Tuskens. His breath was ragged, his mind clouded with rage and pain. The images of his mother's suffering and death replayed in his mind over and over, fueling his anger. The cries of the Tusken women and children had fallen silent, leaving only the sound of the wind sweeping across the desert sands. Anakin's heart pounded in his chest, the dark side of the Force coursing through him with an intensity he himself had never felt before. As many of you know, I started this channel on my own with minimal help, and I am incredibly grateful for how far we've come, but I believe that we can grow even bigger, and that's where you come in. By heading over to my Patreon, you can support our mission for just $2 a month. Every bit helps my team and me continue creating content for you. And for just $5 a month, you'll also get special shout out at the end of our videos as a thank you for your support. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and now let's dive right back into today's story. Yoda, deep in meditation, felt Anakin's turmoil. The boy's pain and anger were palpable, a storm of emotions that threatened to consume him. Yoda's first instinct was to reach out, to offer guidance and support, but he hesitated. He knew that Anakin had to face the consequences of his actions, to understand the gravity of his choices. Only then could he truly find his way back to the light. As Anakin stood amidst the carnage, a sense of emptiness washed over him. The rage that had driven him to this point began to dissipate, leaving behind a hollow ache. He fell to his knees, the weight of his actions pressing down on him. Tears streamed down from his face as he looked at his hands, now stained with the blood of innocence. He had avenged his mother, but at what cost? Back on Coruscant, Yoda struggled with his own doubts. He had foreseen a future of great suffering if Anakin were to fall to the dark side. Yet, he also saw the potential for redemption. Yoda knew that the path ahead would be fraught with challenges, but he resolved to remain vigilant, to guide Anakin back to the light, no matter how difficult the journey. A year passed, the Clone Wars raged on, and the galaxy was embroiled in chaos. The Jedi Council kept a close watch on Anakin, aware of the darkness that lingered within him. His closest companions, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda, were vigilant, offering guidance and support. Anakin's exceptional skills in battle had earned him a promotion to Jedi Knight, but his emotional struggles remained a concern. Anakin fought valiantly, but the memory of the Tusken Raider massacre haunted him, a constant reminder of his potential for destruction. The guilt and anger gnawed at him, creating a storm of emotions he struggled to control. Despite his heroic efforts on the battlefield, Anakin felt increasingly isolated, his inner turmoil growing with each passing day. Meanwhile, on Coruscant, the political landscape was shifting. Chancellor Palpatine's power continued to grow, and whispers of corruption began to circulate. Anakin, despite his close relationship with Palpatine, started to harbor doubts. His suspicions were confirmed one fateful evening when he overheard a conversation between the Chancellor and Count Dooku. Anakin had been in Palpatine's office late at night, summoned to discuss a recent mission. As he prepared to leave, a sudden transmission from the Count came through on a secure channel. Anakin paused, his curiosity piqued as he looked through the door. He concealed his presence and listened as Palpatine and Dooku discussed their plans for the war, the manipulation of both the Republic and the Separatists, and their ultimate goal of establishing a new order. The realization that Palpatine had been orchestrating the entire war, playing both sides to his advantage, was a devastating blow to Anakin. The man he had trusted, who had been like a father figure to him, was revealed to be the architect of the galaxy's suffering. Anakin's sense of betrayal was profound, but he knew he had to be cautious. He couldn't confront Palpatine directly, at least not without irrefutable proof. Determined to uncover the truth, Anakin embarked on a covert investigation. Nights were spent sifting through records and following leads. His efforts uncovered further evidence of Palpatine's corrupt dealings, including bribes and alliances with pro-separatist factions. Anakin's frustrations grew as he realized the depth of the Chancellor's deception, and his sense of betrayal intensified. As the Clone Wars progressed, the Republic managed to secure key victories on planets like Christophsis and Felucia. Yet, the war's end was nowhere in sight, and Anakin's obsession with exposing Palpatine grew. His investigation finally bore fruit, but it also placed him in grave danger. Loyalists of Palpatine ambushed him, leading to his arrest on charges of espionage and treason. The trial that followed was a spectacle, with Anakin standing accused of betraying the Republic. The Jedi Council was torn, with Yoda and Obi-Wan believing in Anakin's innocence but unable to ignore the seemingly damning evidence. Yoda, in particular, felt a profound sense of failure. He had hoped that Anakin would find his way back to the light, but now it seemed that the darkness had claimed him. Padme Amidala, always a steadfast supporter of Anakin, discovered new evidence during the trial. It pointed to a conspiracy orchestrated by Palpatine to frame Anakin and eliminating him as a threat. Padme got this from one of her sources, and she definitely did not ask where. But with the help of Bail Organa and Mon Mothma, Padme presented this evidence, exposing Palpatine's true intentions. The courtroom erupted in chaos as Palpatine, realizing his plan had been thwarted, declared a state of emergency and consolidated his power further. As the senators and Jedi in the courtroom reacted to this revelation, Palpatine, his calm facade shattered, made a desperate move. With a snarl, he unleashed a powerful burst of dark-side energy, shattering Anakin's handcuffs. Anakin, though momentarily stunned, quickly regained his composure. However, before he could act, Palpatine attacked him, lightning crackling from his fingertips. Anakin barely managed to deflect the attack with the Force, but the situation was dire. Palpatine's power was immense, and he fought with the ferocity born of desperation. The senators screamed in terror as Palpatine turned his wrath on them, bolts of lightning lashing out in every direction. Several senators were struck down, their bodies collapsing lifelessly on the floor. Yoda, sensing the danger, moved with incredible speed. His green lightsaber ignited as he leaped in front of Anakin, intercepting Palpatine's next attack. The room was bathed in the glow of lightsabers as the two masters of the Force clashed, their battle shaking the very foundations of the Senate chamber. Palpatine's attacks were relentless, his desperation fueling his power, but Yoda's skill and wisdom kept him at bay. As the duel raged on, Obi-Wan Kenobi arrived, having sensed the disturbance through the Force. Without hesitation, he joined the fray, his blue lightsaber slicing through the air. The three Jedi moved in perfect harmony, their combined strength overwhelming Palpatine. Despite his immense power, the Sith Lord was slowly being pushed back, his attacks growing more frantic and less controlled. Realizing that he was losing, Palpatine attempted to flee, hoping to regroup and strike again, later. But Anakin, driven by a deep sense of justice and betrayal, would not allow it. He tapped into the Force, channeling his motions not into anger, but into determination. With a powerful Force leap, he intercepted Palpatine's escape. his lightsaber cutting off the Sith Lord's path. In a final, desperate move, Palpatine unleashed a storm of Force lightning, aiming to kill as many senators as possible. But Yoda and Obi-Wan were ready. Together, they created a shield of lights, absorbing the deadly energy. Anakin, seizing the opportunity, charged forward. With a series of precise strikes, he disarmed Palpatine, his lightsaber sending the Sith Lord's weapon clattering across the floor. Palpatine, now defenseless, was surrounded by the three Jedi. The battle had left him weakened and exposed, his true nature revealed to all. The senators, though shaken, began to recover, watching in stunned silence as the once all-powerful Chancellor was finally brought to his knees. With the Sith Lord subdued, Anakin, Yoda, and Obi-Wan stood together, the victory a symbol of the light's triumph over the darkness. The war was not yet over, but the tide had turned. Palpatine's reign of terror had been shattered, and with it, the grip of the dark side on the galaxy. The Republic began the arduous task of rebuilding, and the Jedi Order sought to heal from the scars of war and betrayal. Freed from the false charges, Anakin's focus shifted. He sought to gather more evidence against Palpatine's remaining allies, knowing that the remnants of the Sith threat still lingered in the shadows, especially with Count Dooku and General Grievous not dead. The relationship between Anakin and the Jedi Council, particularly Yoda and Obi-Wan, was mended, though the scars of mistrust remained. Anakin vowed to be more vigilant in controlling his emotions and tempering his actions with wisdom, while the Council acknowledged their own shortcomings in guiding him. The galaxy was far from healed. Both Palpatine's defeat, there was hope for a brighter future.